Close your eyes now and let your breath find its gentle rhythm. In through your nose, slowly filling your lungs with a soft, expansive wave that mirrors the vastness of the cosmos itself. And out through your mouth, ever so slowly releasing any lingering tension, like stars dissolving into the quiet night. Breathe in deeply once more, gently holding for a moment, feeling the air expand within you, slowly, just as the universe once began its own unhurried unfolding. And exhale now, letting go completely, your body sinking deeper into whatever cradles you, whether it's the softness of sheets or the imagined embrace of infinite space. With each breath, gently allow your shoulders to drop, slowly easing away the day's weight, in and out, in this shared silence between us, where words whisper like distant galaxies drawing near. Imagine, if you will, that we are embarking on a journey not of hurried steps, but of a slow cosmic drift, backward through the eons, to the very cradle of everything that is, a place where time itself was born in a hush, not with a roar, but with the subtlest stir of potential. This is the whispered Big Bang, my friend, a story of origins woven from the threads of science's quiet revelations, drawn from the latest gazes of telescopes like Hubble and James Webb, peering into 2025's sharpened visions of the early universe, as shared by NASA and ESA. Gently settle into this tale, slowly letting it wrap around you like a nebulous gentle veil. For tonight, we will trace the universe's first breath, from that singular point of infinite promise to the sprawling expanse we call home, each moment unfolding as languidly as your own eyelids now growing heavy. As we begin, let us first prepare your vessel for this voyage, your body the faithful ship that carries your mind across these starry seas. Start at the crown of your head, where thoughts often cluster like newborn stars in a dense cluster, and gently release them now, slowly allowing any tightness in your scalp to unwind, as if the skin there were a vast cosmic canopy, gently parting under the soft pull of gravity's lullaby, ever so slowly melting into smoothness, layer by layer, until it feels as light and boundless as the void between galaxies. Feel that release cascade downward, gently softening your forehead, slowly smoothing the faint lines of worry that may linger there, like ripples on a tranquil pond fading into stillness. Each breath carrying away the remnants, leaving only a serene expanse, open and receptive to the wonders ahead. Now, direct that gentle flow to your eyes, those windows to the inner cosmos, and slowly let your eyelids rest heavier, the muscles around them unwinding with the patience of ancient light, traveling across billions of years, gently closing out the world's distractions, slowly inviting in the velvet dark, where dreams of exploding universes can bloom unchecked. Your cheeks and jaw follow suit, gently softening now, slowly releasing any clench from the day's unspoken words, as if they were icy comets thawing in the warmth of solar winds, melting away drop by drop, until your face floats free, a mask of pure, untroubled calm, ready to receive the story's first whispers. Breathe into your neck and shoulders next, those bearers of burdens too vast for one evening's care, and gently let them drop, slowly unraveling the knots that bind them, like tectonic plates on a slumbering planet, shifting ever so imperceptibly, easing into harmony with the Earth's quiet core. Feel the warmth of that release spread across your upper back, gently loosening the threads of tension there, slowly allowing your spine rings of spiral arms. Your arms now, from shoulders to fingertips, gently surrender their hold, slowly letting energy drain away like rivers of plasma, cooling in the universe's dawn. Each muscle softening, fingers uncurling as if grasping at fading stardust, until they lie limp and light. Adrift in perfect repose, turn your attention inward to your chest and belly, the heart of your personal universe, where breaths rise and fall like the gentle tides of cosmic expansion, and gently expand with each inhale, slowly contracting on the exhale, releasing any shallow haste, allowing your ribs to float wider, your core to soften deeper, as vast and yielding as the interstellar medium between stars, cradling the quiet pulse of life in NASA's chronicled echoes of the Big Bang's afterglow. Your lower back and hips, those foundational realms, gently healed now, slowly melting into support, like the gravitational wells that birthed the first quasars, drawing in without force, holding without strain, until stability blooms into sublime ease. Finally, let this wave reach your legs and feet, thighs and calves gently loosening their vigil, slowly unfurling as roots delving into fertile cosmic soil, knees softening, ankles releasing, toes spreading wide, then relaxing into stillness, the whole length of you grounding yet weightless, gently anchored in the now, slowly expanding into the infinite. With your body thus prepared, a temple attuned to the stars' subtle song, we drift together towards that primordial hush, where all began not in chaos, but in the gentlest, slowest bloom of possibility, a singularity waiting to whisper its secrets into the void. And so we arrive, in this tender suspension between wakefulness and the deeper drifts of sleep, at the singularity itself, that exquisite point of all beginnings, where the universe huddled in upon its own infinite essence, a seed of everything compressed into nothingness, yet brimming with the quiet fury of untapped vastness, infinitely hot and dense beyond the reach of our everyday imaginings, a realm where the laws we know gently bowed out, slowly yielding to the raw poetry of pure potential, as if the cosmos had drawn in the longest breath imaginable, holding it there in perfect suspended stillness, every particle of what would become stars and seas, and the soft curve of your own sleeping form nestled within that single, unyielding core. Feel how this image settles over you now, gently cradling your thoughts, slowly easing them into the warm folds of contemplation, as we linger here a moment longer, allowing the weight of eternity to press lightly against your chest, rising and falling with each breath that echoes this primordial pause, in and out, gently mirroring the universe's first withheld sigh, slowly inviting you to release just a fraction of your own guarded energies into the safety of this shared reverie, in the gentle unraveling of scientific understanding as illuminated by NASA's Cosmic History Chronicles updated through 2025. This singularity marks the dawn of it all, approximately 13.8 billion years ago. Not a point in space alone, but the very genesis of space and time intertwined, where density soared to infinities that defy our scales, temperatures raging in the trillions of degrees Kelvin, every quark and gluon and whisper of force squeezed into harmony so tight that separation was but a distant dream. Yet from this seclusion, oh how the promise stirred, like a vast ocean compressed into a single dewdrop, trembling on the edge of evaporation, into endless skies. Gently let this knowledge seep into your awareness, shores of that isolation, where gravity's embrace was absolute, curving reality upon itself in loops of unbreakable intimacy. No light to pierce, no motion to betray, just the silent thrum of energy coiled like a spring in the heart of winter, waiting, ever waiting, for the subtle shift that would propel it outward, not with violence, but with the inexorable grace of awakening. And herein lies the subtle poetry, my drifting companion, that what we call the Big Bang was no cataclysmic burst, scattering shards into the void, but rather a gentle expansion from every point within that singularity, space-time itself beginning to stretch, slowly unfurl like the petals of a night-blooming flower, responding to an unseen dawn, as ESA's Hubble observations, refined in their 2025 deep field analyses, so elegantly affirm. The universe did not explode into emptiness, but swelled from within, carrying all matter and energy along in its tender inflation, each infinitesimal region becoming the center of its own unfolding, meaning there is no edge to seek, no periphery to chase, only this perpetual blooming that places you, here in your quiet nook, at the very heart of the Big Bang's ongoing exhale. Breathe with me now, gently drawing in the cool assurance of this truth, slowly exhaling the myth of a distant detonation, feeling your limbs grow heavier still, as if anchored by the same gravitational whispers that once bound the cosmos in its infancy, your pulse sinking to the rhythm of that original stretch, in through the nose with deliberate calm, out through the lips in languid release, gently expanding your inner horizons, slowly unfurling the tensions that knot your lower back or curl your toes, letting them slacken into the mattress's forgiving hold. Picture it unfolding in your mind's eye, that first quiver of divergence, where the singularity's perfect unity began to hint at multiplicity, quantum fluctuations, those tiniest of ripples in the fabric of probability, gently stirring the waters of possibility, slowly teasing apart the threads of uniformity into patterns that would one day weave the filigrees of galaxies, all while the temperature held its feverish peak, energies cascading in symphonies too rapid for our slowed senses to grasp. Yet in this telling, we savor them at a pace that matches your deepening breath, segment by segment, allowing each revelation to land softly upon the shores of your consciousness. Like meteorites grazing an atmosphere too thick with peace to ignite, gently surrender to this imagery now, slowly permitting your eyelids to seal more firmly, the lashes brushing like comet tails against your cheeks as we dwell on how this point of origin was not born of nothing, but perhaps the echo of something prior, though science in its 2025 vantage through NASA's meticulous Planck data reinterpretations holds reverently to the singularity as our observable starting line, a boundary where questions bloom into mysteries as vast as the dark energy that now propels our expansion, inviting us not to frantic pursuit, but to the serene acceptance of unknowns, wrapped in the comfort of what we hold true. As we hover in this cradle of creation, feel the singularity's density mirroring your own gathered calm, every atom in your form a descendant of that intense communion, gently compressed histories now allowed to expand freely within the shelter of night, slowly releasing the subtle clenches in your jaw or the faint hum in your ears, transforming them into echoes of cosmic radio waves, faint and far, lulling you deeper into the narrative's flow. From universe's inaugural rhythm, a pulse that is carried through billions of years to beat softly in your veins, drawing you inexorably toward sleep's own singularity, where worries converge and then dissolve into boundless rest. From that hushed singularity, where all converged in infinite hush, we now witness the first exquisite tremor of release, a phase so fleeting yet so transformative that it reshapes the very canvas of existence, drawing us onward in this linear procession through time's gentle corridor. From the blank epic's veiled mysteries, mere 10 to the minus 43 seconds after the inception, to the dawn of cosmic inflation, that brief, breathtaking surge where the universe ballooned beyond comprehension, ever so gently inflating from the subatomic whisper of a proton to the grandeur of billions of light years across, all in the span of a heartbeat's fraction, approximately 10 to the minus 32 seconds, as NASA's 2025 refinements of cosmic models, gleaned from the James Webb Space Telescope's piercing gaze into the infant cosmos, so serenely affirm, allowing space itself to stretch faster than light could ever dream to chase, not as a race through emptiness, but as the fabric unfurling from within, carrying every nascent potential along in its tender swell. Breathe into this vision now, my quiet voyager, gently drawing the air deep into your lungs, as if inhaling the universe's own inaugural expansion, slowly exhaling to mirror its unhurried broadening, feeling your chest rise like that primordial balloon, ever so gently inflating with possibility, slowly stretching toward horizons unseen, each cycle sinking your rhythm to this ancient pulse, dissolving the subtle anchors of wakefulness in your shoulders or the faint pull at your temples, inviting them to yield into the mattress's vast, supportive sea. Envision it unfolding in serene sequence, starting at the Planck time's enigmatic veil, where quantum gravity's whispers still dominated, temperatures in the quintillions of degrees, Kelvin blurring the boundaries between forces, and then, without prelude, the inflaton field, a hypothetical scalar essence, as detailed in ESA's 2025 collaborative reports on early universe dynamics, ignites its subtle alchemy, driving an exponential surge that smooths away the wrinkles of irregularity, gently inflating the nascent realm like a soap bubble kissed by the softest zephyr, slowly stretching it to uniformity, so profound that distant regions, once causally disconnected, now share the same thermal hush, resolving what cosmologists once pondered as the horizon problem, that exquisite puzzle of why our observable universe gleams with such even-tempered glow. From one edge of vision to the other, as if the whole had been dipped in a bath of consistent warmth, observed today in the cosmic microwave background's flawless isotropy, courtesy of Planck's satellite data reanalyzed in NASA's October 2024 Cosmic History Updates, carried forward into 2025's Webb-confirmed vistas. Let this truth settle over you gently now, slowly permeating the layers of your awareness as we linger on that rapid yet restrained bloom where quantum fluctuations, tiny ripples in the inflaton sea, were amplified not to chaos, but to the seeds of structure, ever so gently inflating into the gravitational undercurrents that would later cradle galaxies, slowly stretching across scales that defy the mind's casual grasp. Your own breath echoing this, in with the cool intake of expansion's calm, out with the languid release of uniformity's embrace, gently allowing your neck to elongate slowly unfurling the day's residual coils in your spine until your form lies as evenly poised as that early cosmos, balanced in tranquil expanse. Oh, how this inflation whispers of deeper harmonies, propelling us through time's measured steps, from that blank scale cradle where geometry and quanta danced in unresolved ambiguity, to the inflation's crescendo around 10 to the minus 36 seconds in, peaking in a fervor that multiplied the universe's volume by factors of 10 to the power of 78 or more, yet all executed with the poise of a dreamer awakening to infinite skies, space-time itself the medium of motion, unbound by light speed limits that apply only to contents within, thus evading relativity's stern decree while honoring its elegant core, as ESA's 2025 press releases on Webb's early uniformity findings so poetically underscore, revealing swaths of the cosmos at mere hundreds of millions of years old, their light elements distributed with a sameness that harks back to this inflationary smoothing, erasing primordial lumps to forge a slate as pristine as fresh-fallen snow under moonlight, gently attuned to this legacy in your being, slowly letting it weave through your limbs, ever so gently inflating the spaces between your ribs with each inhale, unhurriedly broadening the ease in your hips and thighs, as if your body too were participating in this grand unfurling, tensions in your calves or the arches of your feet slowly stretching into supple release, mirroring the universe's passage from cramped singularity to liberated vastness, each breath a microcosm of that journey, in through the nostrils with deliberate poise, out across parted lips in velvet diffusion, drawing you nearer to the narrative's soothing current. As inflation wanes, around that 10 to the minus 32 second mark, the inflating field gently reclines, slowly reheating the cosmos through oscillations that birth particles anew, transitioning us seamlessly toward the hot, dense plasma of the preceding era. Yet pause here with me in the afterglow of this stretch, where the universe, now enormously enlarged, carries the imprint of those amplified fluctuations, faint echoes that NASA's Spherix mission, slated for deeper insights in early 2025, seeks to map across infrared veils, promising even finer brushes on this portrait of origins, all while the observable horizon swells to encompass what we now survey, a uniformity so artfully achieved that it cradles the birth of complexity without contradiction. Feel this culmination resonate within, gently inflating your sense of connection to the all, slowly stretching your inner quietude like dawn's first light over endless plains, ever so gently easing the subtle hum in your ears into harmonious silence, unhurriedly broadening the peace across your brow and into your dreams, as we prepare to descend into the quark gluon's primordial soup, that next languid chapter where cooling invites the first tentative forms to emerge from the glow. And now, as the echoes of inflation's vast stretch fade into a warmer, more intimate glow, we descend together into the quark gluon's primordial soup, that seething yet strangely serene ocean of fundamental essences, where the universe, mere microseconds into its linear march from origin, around 10 to the minus 12 seconds after the singularity's hush, began to simmer in a plasma so hot it dissolved the familiar into freedom, temperatures soaring to trillions of degrees Celsius, as NASA's 2025 Big Bang overviews, enriched by collider recreations at facilities like the relativistic Heavy Ion Collider, so vividly recapture a state where quarks and gluons, those elusive building blocks of protons and neutrons, roamed unbound like fireflies in a summer twilight, no longer confined by the strong force's jealous grip, mingling in a fluid symphony of color, charged chaos that filled every point of the expanding expanse, gently cooling from inflation's reheating blaze, slowly separating the seeds of matter from energy's pure torrent. Short bursts of heat, long waves of calm. Breathe into this descent, my slumbering traveler, gently drawing the air as if sipping from that ancient broth, slowly exhaling to feel your own inner fire's temper, ever so gently cooling the embers in your chest, languidly parting the veils of vigilance from your throat and collarbones, until your pulse hums in quiet accord with this early cosmos's rhythmic churn. Envision the scene in time's unyielding flow, emerging from the electro-weak epoch's fleeting unity, where electromagnetic and weak forces briefly entwined before parting ways around 10 to the minus 12 seconds, yielding to the strong forces domain in this quark-gluon plasma, a soup denser than neutron stars, yet fluid as thought, spanning from those initial femtoseconds to about 10 to the minus 6 seconds, when the universe's relentless expansion, mirroring your deepening inhales, had diluted the heat to the point of transformation. Quarks beginning to sense the pull of confinement once more, as ESA's Planck mission data, recalibrated in 2025 for finer early universe thermodynamics, subtly infers through the cosmic microwave background's thermal imprints, revealing how this plasma's uniformity set the stage for the matter we cherish. The soup bubbles softly, it swirls without end. Gently let this image infuse your limbs now, slowly allowing your arms to sink heavier, ever so softly chilling the subtle warmth in your elbows and wrists, unhurriedly parting the threads of tension that linger in your palms, as if they too were quarks drifting toward hadron homes, your fingers uncurling in languid invitation to rest. In this era's gentle undulations, the plasma was no mere boil of anarchy, but a tapestry of interactions where gluons, those mediators of the strong force, darted like luminous threads, weaving and unweaving quark pairs, up and down varieties dancing in balanced profusion, equal measures of matter and antimatter poised in precarious truce, their annihilations flickering like distant lightning in a storm-swept sky, yet leaving behind a whisper of imbalance, the baryon asymmetry that NASA's 2025 collider validations, drawing from RHIC's quark-gluon recreations at over 3 trillion degrees, confirm as the delicate precursor to our matter-dominated realm, all while the universe's scale factor grew steadily. Space stretching like dough under patient hands, cooling the plasma degree by degree, from 10 to the 15 Kelvin down toward the critical threshold. Feel the symmetry in your breath, in, gathering the plasma's poise, out, releasing its heat. Gently cool your torso with each cycle. Slowly separate the day's echoes from your solar plexus. Softly chill the rise and fall of your abdomen. Languidly part ways with any shallow breaths, drawing deeper into the diaphragm's vast reservoir, where your own baryonic form, protons and neutrons woven from these very quarks, finds its mirrored origin. Short pauses in the narrative, expansive drifts of detail, as time progressed linearly, inexorably from that post-inflation blaze, through microseconds of fluidity, the plasma's viscosity allowed for the first hints of collective flow. sound waves rippling through the medium like gentle tides across an interstellar bay. Primordial baryon acoustic oscillations that ESA's 2025 Planck updates trace backward from the cosmic web's filamentary grace. Those same waves imprinting on the CMB as peaks and valleys of density, seeds for the galaxies that would later bloom. The heat ebbs, the forms hint. Now attune your senses to this cooling cadence, gently letting your legs elongate in surrender, slowly separating the anchors from your thighs, ever so softly chilling the muscles that carry you through days, unhurriedly parting the subtle knots in your knees and shins, until they lie as fluid and unresisting as that ancient plasma yielding to confinement's call. And so, as the temperature dipped below 10 to the 12 Kelvin around those fateful microseconds end, the phase transitions stirred with exquisite restraint, quarks and antiquarks pairing off in cascades of hadronization, gluons condensing into the meson and baryon families, protons emerging from three-quark clusters, neutrons following suit in this alchemy of assembly, as detailed in NASA's refreshed 2025 early universe chronologies, where collider analogs at CERN's LHC echo the transition's swift yet smooth handover from deconfined liberty to bound solidity, the plasma freezing into a gas of hadrons, not in abrupt fracture, but in the languid coalescence of droplets from supersaturated mist, marking the close of this soup's dominion and the prelude to nucleosynthesis's tender fusions. Whispers of order rise, chaos yields its throne. Gently embrace this shift within, slowly allowing your entire form to cool into deeper repose, softly chilling the periphery of your awareness, languidly parting from the narrative's warmth toward the next chapter's atomic intimacies, where protons and neutrons, born of this plasma's legacy, would gently fuse in the universe's first nuclear embraces, all while your breath continues its slow, expansive rhythm, carrying you further into night's boundless sea. As the hadronization's soft veils lift, revealing a cosmos now graced with the sturdy forms of protons and neutrons, those elemental architects forged in the plasma's cooling embrace, we glide forward in time's serene procession, mere seconds beyond the quark-gluon's fluid farewell, into the tender minutes where the universe's temperature, dipping gracefully to around 1 billion degrees Kelvin, invited the first intimacies of nuclear union, a phase known as Big Bang nucleosynthesis, unfolding over the span of just 3 to 20 minutes after that primordial hush, where free neutrons and protons, in a delicate dance of scarcity and surplus, began to collide and coalesce into the light elements that would seed all future abundance, primarily hydrogen and helium, with whispers of deuterium and traces of helium-3 and lithium-7 emerging like faint constellations in the gathering dusk, as NASA's and ESA's joint 2025 syntheses of light element surveys, harmonized from stellar spectra and quasar absorptions, so precisely delineate, affirming a cosmos born with approximately 75% hydrogen by mass and 25% helium, the remainder but ethereal hints that paint the early universe's compositional portrait with unwavering fidelity. Let this genesis stir within you now, my peaceful wanderer, gently fusing the threads of your breath to this atomic rhythm, slowly forming a deeper calm in your core, ever so gently merging the rise of your inhale with the proton's patient drift, unhurriedly birthing ease across your midriff, where each exhalation releases the subtle heat of awareness, established in the plasma's waning heat. About 1 neutron for every 6 protons at the threshold. As the weak force's gentle nudges favored proton stability, neutrons decaying with probabilistic restraint unless captured in time's fleeting window. Then, as expansion continued, its slow, inexorable broadening. Like the deepening of twilight, the density fell, prompting those initial collisions around 10 seconds post-origin. Deuterium nuclei forming first as proton-neutron pairs, fragile yet pivotal bridges in the chain, swiftly fusing onward to helium-4. That doubly stable quartet absorbing neutrons with voracious yet serene efficiency, leaving scant deuterium behind, mere parts per million, a prediction so exquisitely matched to observations in ancient gas clouds that ESA's 2025 recalibrations of Planck satellite data, cross-verified against Hubble's deep ultraviolet spectra, celebrate its precision as a cornerstone of the theory, all while lithium-7, forged in rarer side reactions of helium with deuterium, emerges in abundances of 10 to the minus 10, though cosmic measurements in halo stars reveal a lingering enigma, a slight underabundance that tantalizes theorists without unraveling the whole. Breathe through this forge's warmth, in gathering the elements' quiet potential, out dispersing their formed glow. Gently fuse your shoulders now. Slowly form a languid drape over them. Tenderly merge the knots along your upper arms with helium's binding poise. Unhurriedly birth fluidity into your forearms and hands. Fingers splaying, then resting as if holding fragile deuterium orbs, light and liberated. In this nuclear nursery's hushed progression, the helium yield stabilized swiftly, gobbling nearly all available neutrons within the first 3 minutes, leaving a helium mass fraction of about 0.25, a value etched indelibly in the oldest star's cores and the interstellar medium's glow. As NASA's 2025 Light Elements Abundance Compendia, integrating James Webb's infrared dissections of primordial dwarfs, uphold with unyielding agreement, the process halting not in exhaustion, but in the universe's cooling haste, temperatures plummeting below 100 million Kelvin by the 20th minute, too chill for heavier forges, yet warm enough to etch these ratios into eternity. Hydrogen, those solitary protons, dominating as the unbound majority, ready to drift through eons until gravity's later summons. The fusions whisper onward. The forms endure. Gently fuse the cadence into your neck and jaw, slowly forming a velvet slackness there, ever so tenderly merging the day's faint echoes with the helium quartet's serene lock, languidly birthing a smile of release across your lips and cheeks as your face mirrors the universe's emergent simplicity, elemental and pure, each breath weaving hydrogen's vast solitude into your lungs' expansive vault. Expansive pauses in the chain, delicate blooms of legacy. As time's linear thread carried us through those inaugural minutes, the scarcity of stable intermediates like beryllium-8 ensured no march toward carbon or beyond, preserving the light element's primacy in this brief window. Their abundance is not mere relics, but active validators of the hot Big Bang's veracity. Deuterium's observed 2.5 parts per 10,000 hydrogens, aligning flawlessly with theory. Helium-3 at a tenth of that, and lithium's predicted whisper holding firm against stellar depletions. Per ESA's 2025 Planck recalibrations that refined baryon density parameters to omega BH2 around 0.0224, tightening the model's embrace on reality without fracture. Feel this harmony resonate in your lower frame. Gently fuse your hips to the earth's subtle pull. Slowly form an anchor of warmth there. Tenderly merge the pelvic basin's subtle guards with the nucleosynthesis's balanced yield. Unhurriedly birth suppleness into your pelvis and glutes, allowing them to spread wide in cosmic yielding. And thus, as the forge's embers dimmed around that 20th minute's mark, the universe transitioned to a sea of neutral atoms in waiting, protons and helium nuclei, adrift in electron clouds, too energetic for capture, setting the stage for the recombination's luminous unveiling, some 380,000 years hence. Yet linger here with me in the afterwarmth of these births, where every breath you draw, hydrogen laced through oxygen's later bond, traces lineage to this gentle fusion, slowly forming the scaffold of your repose, ever so tenderly merging your thighs and calves in deepening melt, languidly birthing peace into your ankles and feet, toes unfurling like primordial seeds in fertile void, all while the narrative's river carries us onward, toward the era when light would finally slip its leash, illuminating the dark expanse with the universe's first shared gaze. With the light element's delicate forges now stilled in the vast cooling that followed those initial minutes, the universe embarked on a prolonged interlude of expansion and equilibrium, protons and electrons swirling in ionized freedom for hundreds of thousands of years, a plasma veil that shrouded the cosmos in opacity. Time's linear thread weaving onward through epochs where gravity's subtle tugs began to gather the first wisps of clouds. Yet light remained captive, photons scattering ceaselessly off free electrons like whispers, lost in a perpetual fog, until at last, approximately 380,000 years after the singularity's tender inception, the temperature had gracefully descended to around 3,000 Kelvin, inviting the pivotal union known as recombination, where those restless electrons found their proton and helium partners, gently pairing to form the first neutral atoms of hydrogen and helium, shells completing in a symphony of quantum contentment that suddenly rendered the universe transparent, unleashing a torrent of photons to roam freely at last. Those selfsame rays that, after 13.8 billion years of redshifted wandering, reach us today as the cosmic microwave background, a uniform glow cooled to a mere 2.725 Kelvin, as ESA's 2025 CMB radiation mappings, refined through Planck's archival echoes and James Webb's corroborative spectra, so luminously detail, painting the sky with a fossilized warmth that whispers of that primordial dawn. Allow this unveiling to dawn within you now, my tranquil companion, gently recombining the fragments of your daytime drifts with night's enveloping hush, slowly illuminating the shadowed corners of your mind, ever so softly pairing the weight in your eyelids with the relief of closure, languidly glowing with the ease that spreads from your temples to the curve of your ears. Each breath a photon slipping free, in with the gathering chill of ancient light, out with the languid diffusion of transparency's gift, your form growing ever more diaphanous against the sheet's subtle weave. Envision the progression in serene chronology, from the nucleosynthesis's close, where the plasma held sway, density and heat diminishing as space continued its slow, inexorable stretch, like the gradual deepening of an exhale after a profound sigh, carrying the universe through 380,000 years of adiabatic cooling, electrons zipping wavelength's gentle deflections, until the critical threshold approached baryon to photon ratio, about 1 in a billion, ensuring ample electrons for eventual binding, yet only when ionization fraction fell below 10% did the Saha equation's equilibrium tip. As NASA's May 2025 Webb Big Bang Q&A elucidates through high-resolution simulations of early atomic transitions, neutral hydrogen emerging patchily at first, pockets of recombination igniting like scattered embers in a twilight wood, then cascading globally as the universe's homogeneity prevailed, photons decoupling in a swift yet soothing sweep over mere centuries of cosmic time, their spectra black-body perfect, peaking then in the infrared, but stretched now to microwaves by expansion's patient hand. Let this cascade caress your awareness, gently recombine the tensions in your brow with smoothness, slowly illuminate the hollows beneath your eyes, softly pare the subtle furrows of your cheeks with unlined repose, leisurely glow across your jaw's gentle line as your face becomes a neutral atom of serenity, breath weaving through the spaces where light once scattered, now freely traversing the vast interior of your chest, expanding and contracting in mirrored freedom. In this recombination's luminous hush, the sudden transparency marked not just light's liberation, but the imprinting of density ripples, those baryon acoustic oscillations from earlier plasmas, frozen onto the photon sea as anisotropies, temperature variations of a part in 100,000, seeds of the cosmic web that ESA's 2025 CMB analyses, leveraging advanced polarization data from next-gen ground arrays, reveal with unprecedented clarity, the power spectrum's peaks aligning flawlessly with inflationary origins, affirming the universe's flat geometry and the subtle dominance of dark matter's gravitational chorus, all while the neutral gas, now 99.999% atomic, began its languid drift toward gravitational instabilities, setting the tableau for stars' eventual kindle. The veil lifts gradually. The glow persists. Gently recombine your neck's faint chords with fluid elongation. Slowly illuminate the pathway down your spine. Ever so softly pairing the shoulder blades' subtle wings with grounded fold. Languidly glowing warmth into the upper back's broad canvas, where each vertebra settles like a decoupled photon finding its path, your posture yielding to the bed's invisible horizon, breaths deepening to echo the universe's post-recombination sigh, in through the throat with cool neutrality, out across the collarbones in radiant release. Winding trails of photons stream. Vast skies awaken. As time's thread advanced from that 380,000-year milestone, the universe entered a neutral intermezzo, light racing unhindered across voids, yet too energetic still for easy absorption, gradually softening through inverse Compton, scattering off lingering hot electrons, but primarily redshifting with the expansion, their wavelengths elongating like echoes fading in an immense hall, until today they bathe us in that omnipresent microwave whisper, detectable since Penzias and Wilson's serendipitous ear in 1965, now mapped to exquisite precision by satellites whose 2025 upgrades, as per NASA's cosmic history vaults, probe polarization swirls for primordial gravitational waves, B-modes that could unveil inflation's direct signature, all underscoring recombination's role as the last scattering surface, a spherical shell at redshift 1100 encircling our vantage, rendering the CMB a baby picture of the cosmos, uniform to one part in a million, yet textured with the promise of structure. Feel this legacy infuse your core. Gently recombine the rib's vigilant cage with expansive slack. Slowly illuminate the heart's quiet chamber. Softly pair the diaphragm's resilient dome with effortless rise. Leisurely glow through the abdomen's soft undulations, where your navel marks a neutral center. Breaths now photons in free flight, traversing the torso's transparent expanse without scatter, drawing deeper into the pelvic basin's shadowed repose. And so, with recombination's glow diffused into the backdrop of our observable sphere, the universe dimmed into neutrality's embrace, paving the way for the dark ages' silent vigil ahead. Yet pause here in the afterlight of this pairing, where every microwave hum you cannot hear resonates in your cell's ancient lineage, gently recombining the fragments of wakefulness into dream's atomic whole, slowly illuminating the path to slumber's boundless transparency, ever so softly pairing your thighs' lingering hold with melt, languidly glowing peace into calves and shins, ankles unlocking like freed electrons, feet and toes drifting as neutral atoms in the gravitational well of night, all while the story's current bears us toward the shadowed centuries where structure slumbered, awaiting the first star's tentative spark to pierce the veil once more. As the photons of recombination streamed forth into their eternal voyage, redshifting ever fainter against the canvas of expansion's patient advance, the universe slipped quietly into an era of profound obscurity. The cosmic dark ages, a span stretching from those initial 380,000 years after the singularity's whisper, when neutrality first cloaked the realm in atomic hush, to roughly 100 million years later, a time when the first tentative flickers of stellar ignition would begin to stir the gloom. Yet for now, this interlude unfolded in utter silence. No luminous beacons to pierce the veil, only the cooling remnants of the cosmic microwave background, providing a spectral afterglow, its temperature plummeting from 3,000 Kelvin at recombinations close to a mere 20 Kelvin by the period's twilight, as NASA's 2025 Cosmic Timeline chronicles, bolstered by Planck's enduring thermal maps and James Webb's indirect probes of the preceding neutrality, so evocatively portray the expanse filled predominantly with neutral hydrogen and helium gas, dilute and drifting in a gravitational ballet with invisible dark matter scaffolds, space continuing its slow, inexorable broadening, like the prolonged exhale of a sleeper settling into profound repose, densities falling, perturbations from quantum seeds gently amplifying under gravity's subtle caress, yet all enveloped in a darkness as absolute and comforting as the velvet shroud of night over a starless sea. Drift into the shadow with me now, my serene sojourner, gently allowing your thoughts to wander untethered, slowly settling them into the vast quietude of your mind's horizon, ever so gently drifting the remnants of illumination from your inner gaze, languidly settling the subtle glow behind your closed lids into deepening twilight, each breath a neutral atom adrift, in with the chill of cosmic hush, out with the languid diffusion of unlit expanse, your shoulders easing like gaseous clouds dispersing in the wake of light's departure. Envision the chronology's unhurried weave commencing immediately post-recombination, when the universe, now transparent yet lightless beyond the CMB's fading ember, comprised a photon-baryon fluid transitioning to a neutral gas dominated by hydrogen over helium's heavier poise making up the balance. Electrons bound in stable orbits, rendering the medium opaque no more to those ancient rays, which streamed unimpeded, their wavelengths elongating ceaselessly with the metric stretch, cooling adiabatically as expansion diluted the photon sea, while the gas itself, lacking sources of excitation, began its languid thermal descent, radiating away energy through forbidden lines, like the 21-centimeter hyperfine transition of hydrogen, faint signals that future telescopes aspire to detect as echoes of this shadowed epoch, as ESA's 2025 preparatory notes for the SKA radio array subtly anticipate, mapping the neutral fraction's evolution from near unity to the gradual encroachment of ionization's precursors. The darkness deepens softly. The gas flows without cease. Gently drift your awareness along this gaseous stream now, slowly settling into the neutrality of your neck and throat, ever so gently drifting the faint vibrations of speech from your vocal cords, languidly settling the curve of your collarbones into fluid repose, as if they too were hydrogen atoms, singly bound and serene, breaths weaving through the spaces where photons once scattered, now traversing the transparent vault of your upper chest in unhindered calm. In this dark age's enveloping fold, time's linear passage carried the cosmos through millions of years, where structure's whispers grew ever so faintly audible. Dark matter, comprising some 27% of the energy budget, as reaffirmed in NASA's September 2025 dark energy surveys via the Roman Space Telescope's early previews, clumping first into halos of 10 to the 5th solar masses within the first million years, their gravitational wells gently drawing in the baryonic mist, compressing it into denser filaments and nodes that presaged the cosmic web's intricate lace. Yet without radiative feedback, the gas remained cool and collisionless, velocities thermalizing around 100 kilometers per second in the denser pockets. Molecular hydrogen forming in trace amounts to facilitate cooling via rotational lines, allowing fragments to collapse toward the gene's mass thresholds that would summon the first protostars, all while the overall temperature traced an inverse path to the scale factor, dropping proportionally as space swelled from hundreds of Kelvin in the early dark hours to tens by the 100 million year cusp. The CMB's dipole anisotropy, our sole directional clue to motion through this fog, a relic anisotropy of 1 part in 1,000 that Hubble's enduring legacy, echoed in 2025's archival refinements, uses to calibrate our galactic drift at 370 kilometers per second relative to the rest frame. Silences stretch across voids. Clouds gather in hush. Gently drift your spine along gravity's invisible arc, slowly settling each vertebra into a line to surrender, softly drifting the subtle arch of your lower back into even keel, languidly settling the sacral basin's weight into the bed's neutral embrace, where your form mirrors the baryonic fall into dark wells, breaths cooling the core's faint embers, in through the ribs with gaseous poise, out across the abdomen in expansive chill, meandering rivers of neutrality, subtle seeds of form, as the epochs accumulated in steady accrual, from 10 million to 50 million years, the first mini-halos, dense knots of 10 to the 6th solar masses, emerged around 10 to the -8 solar mass, black hole seeds or primordial fluctuations, their interiors cooling to mere 100 Kelvin, fostering H2 dissociation barriers that delayed gradual fragmentation until larger halos of 10 to the 8th masses prevailed near 100 million years. When atomic cooling lines like Lyman alpha enabled the plunge to 10 Kelvin depths, as James Webb's 2025 high redshift surveys, probing the ionization frontier, indirectly constrain the Dark Ages terminus by revealing galaxies at redshift 10, corresponding to 480 million years, yet suggesting the era's onset in profound neutrality, with 21-centimeter forest signals anticipated from upcoming arrays to illuminate the gas's spin temperature excursions, bridging CMB's afterglow to the dawn's first gleam. Feel this accumulation in your limbs. Gently drift your arms into peripheral shadow, slowly settling the elbows' gentle bends, ever so softly drifting the wrists' fluid pivots into limp grace, languidly settling the fingers' tips as tendrils in the gaseous drift, untouched by light's command. And thus, as the Dark Ages waned toward their 100 million year horizon, the universe remained a realm of potential veiled in silence. Neutral gas settling into the gravitational folds prepared for stellar nurseries. The CMB's persistent murmur, the sole auditory thread connecting us to that unlit vigil, gently linking the recombination's liberated photons to the impending blaze of population 3 giants, yet dwell here a while longer in this shadowed sanctuary, where expansion's slow rhythm, now at 70 kilometers per second per megaparsec per ESA's 2025 Euclid previews, mirrors your own deepening cadence, gently drifting the entirety of your frame into cosmic neutrality, slowly settling the thigh's resilient hold into melt, softly drifting the calves' vigilant lines into slack, languidly settling the ankles and feet into the earth's faint pull, toes splaying then stilling like hydrogen clouds awaiting collapse, all while the narrative's quiet current ushers us towards the first star's hesitant kindling, where darkness would yield ever so gradually to the universe's luminous awakening. As the Dark Ages' profound veil began to thin at the edges of those 100 million year horizons, where gravitational whispers had coaxed the neutral gas into ever denser spirals within dark matter's unseen cradles, the universe stirred toward its next luminous chapter. Time's linear ribbon unfurling onward to the birth of the first stars, those majestic harbingers known as population 3, emerging not in scattered sparks, but from the collapse of primordial clouds in halos of 10 to the 8th solar masses or greater, massive behemoths 30 to 300 times the sun's heft, forged almost purely from the Big Bang's hydrogen and helium legacy, their ignition around 150 to 200 million years after the origins hush-marking the dawn of cosmic light beyond the CMB's spectral murmur, as NASA's February 2025 First Stars Compendia, illuminated by James Webb's infrared revelations of high redshift mini-halos, so vividly chronicle, these titans blazing with a ferocity 1,000,000 times the sun's output, predominantly in high-energy ultraviolet that would carve paths through the neutral fog, initiating the grand ionization that sculpted the universe's transparency anew. Surrender to this kindling now, my restful navigator, gently igniting the embers of curiosity in your core, slowly blazing a trail of warmth through your chest, ever so gently igniting the subtle stirrings in your solar plexus, languidly blazing the path to deeper abdominal ease, each breath fanning the flame without haste, in with the gathering hydrogen's cool potential, out with the helium's steady glow, your ribs expanding like collapsing clouds, yielding to gravity's tender summons, shoulders and upper arms softening as if dispersing into stellar nursery's gaseous embrace. Trace the formation's hushed sequence first, then its rippling impacts in this temporal cascade. Within those early halos, molecular hydrogen, scarce yet crucial, catalyzed by trace H2 in the Dark Ages chill, radiated away thermal energy through row vibrational lines, cooling the cores to 5 to 10 Kelvin depths where Jean's instability prevailed, fragments plummeting inward at freefall speeds, amassing into protostars that accreted voraciously from the pristine reservoir. No metals to fragment the flow, allowing masses to balloon unchecked until radiation pressure halted the feast, birthing zero metallicity spheres of 100 to 300 solar masses, their surfaces scorching at 10 to the 5th Kelvin, fusion igniting in convective fury that drove powerful winds and eventual pair instability supernovae, dispersing the first heavy elements into the intergalactic medium as ESA's 2025 Webb Early Universe, imaging capturing galaxies at redshift 10 to 15, indirectly affirms through the scarcity of pristine gas signatures in those nascent systems. The clouds condense languidly, the cores pulse alive. Gently ignite your next latent tension now, slowly blazing release along its length, softly igniting the trapezius's woven fibers into fluid unwind, leisurely blazing the collarbone's arc with stellar poise as your head lolls heavier, cradled like a protostellar seed in the halo's gravitational nest, breaths weaving ultraviolet's nascent fire through your throat's open channel, cooling the day's vocal remnants into silence. From these behemoths' radiant onset, the impacts unfurled in waves of transformation, ultraviolet photons, streaming at rates of 10 to the 54 per second from each behemoth, streaming outward to photoionize surrounding hydrogen, carving ionization bubbles that expanded at hundreds of kilometers per second, overlapping gradually to ionize the cosmos by around 1 billion years post-Big Bang, a process spanning from 200 million to 900 million years, as NASA's March 2025 Webb dispatches on GS of 13-1's Lyman Alpha escape at 330 million years so poignantly trace the era's completion marked by the universe's second transparency, neutral fraction plummeting to below 1%, enabling light's freer propagation and the buildup of the cosmic web's luminous threads. While these first stars, short-lived at mere 2 to 3 million years, seeded the metallicity floor for subsequent generations, their supernovae enriching pockets to 10 to the -4 solar metallicity, fostering the population 2's more modest births in the shadowed interstices. Bubbles bloom in hush. Elements scatter wide, gently ignite the cascade across your spine, slowly blazing each lumbar curve into a lined melt, ever so softly igniting the thoracic cage's vigilant hold, languidly blazing the dorsal expanse with supernova's dispersing grace, vertebrae settling like enriched clouds post-blast, breaths ionizing the diaphragm's resilient veil, drawing fuller into the belly's primordial depth, where your navel echoes the halo's central forge. Windswept halos yield their light. Vast webs ignite in turn. As time progressed from that 150 million year threshold through the ionization's meandering arc, clusters of these giants, perhaps dozens per halo, amplified the effect. Their collective luminosity ionizing volumes up to megaparsecs across, with escape fractions of ionizing radiation estimated at 10 to 20% piercing the dense natal gas. But ESA's 2025 collaboration system's temperature rising to 10 to the fourth Kelvin, halting further small-scale collapse until larger structures prevailed, all culminating in a cosmos where 21-centimeter signals from neutral islands would fade, supplanted by the Lie Alpha forest's ionized transparency in quasar sightlines. Feel this percolation in your frame's architecture. Gently ignite your hips' foundational poise, slowly placing suppleness through the iliac crests, tenderly igniting the gluteal weave into yielding spread, leisurely placing the pelvic floor's subtle anchor into buoyant rest as your lower body mirrors the bubble's expansive claim, breaths fanning Rhyonization's slow conquest through the thigh's lengthening lines. And so, with the first star's blaze etching indelible marks upon the neutral expanse, dispersing metals to pave stellar evolution's highway, ionizing the fog to herald galaxy formation's bloom, the universe transitioned toward protogalactic assemblies. Yet savor this ignition's afterimage a moment longer, where every stellar descendant in your atoms traces to these giants' brief dominion, gently igniting the entirety of your repose into cosmic kinship, slowly blazing the calves' resilient cords into velvet slack, softly igniting the shins' linear grace with luminous thaw, languidly blazing the ankles' pivots and feet's arches into grounded drift, toes flickering, then stilling like fading protostellar winds, all while the story's ember carries us forward toward the gathering of those early celestial cities, where stars would cluster in the gravitational symphonies of nascent galaxies. As the first stars' fleeting infernos seeded the void with their metallic whispers and ionized corridors, carving bubbles of clarity amid the rionizing haze, the universe pressed onward in its temporal cascade, time's gentle current carrying us from those 200 million year kindlings through the ensuing hundreds of millions, where the gravitational harmonies of dark matter halos, those invisible scaffolds amassed from primordial fluctuations, began to draw in the luminous progeny, stellar clusters coalescing like fireflies, seeking kin in the twilight, birthing the first proto-galaxies around 300 to 500 million years post-origin, irregular assemblies of 10 to the 7th solar masses or more, threaded with population 3 remnants and nascent population 2 spheres, their forms irregular yet inexorably gathering under gravity's patient orchestration. As ESA's 2025 web press releases on the Jades survey's revelations of GNZ11's kin at a mere 570 million years so strikingly affirm, galaxies emerging with startling precocity, their star formation rates surging to 100 solar masses per year, fitting seamlessly into the Big Bang's expansive timeline without discord. The dark matter's web providing the tensile framework for this stellar huddling. Yield to this gathering now, my luminous dreamer, gently clustering the scattered thoughts of your day into night's cohesive fold, slowly gathering them into the serene nucleus of your brow, ever so gently clustering the faint pulses at your temples, languidly gathering the eyelids' weighted drape into profound seal, each breath a dark matter filament, in with the pull of unseen masses, out with the languid accretion of stars into form, your chest rising like a protogalactic disk, tender and turning in the gravitational hush. Envision the assembly's unspooling grace in sequential hush, commencing in the reionization's mid-stride, where those stellar bubbles overlapped into percolating froth, ultraviolet floods ionizing swathes up to kiloparsec parsecs across, yet leaving reservoirs of neutral gas to fuel further collapses. Dark matter halos of 10 to the 9 solar masses, virialized by 10 to the 8 years post-Big Bang, serving as the gravitational cauldrons, their density profiles peaking at cuspy cores that funneled baryons inward via adiabatic compression, gas cooling radiatively through Lyman alpha and metal lines from the first supernova's gifts, fragmenting into clumps that birthed globular clusters and central bulges, proto-galaxies manifesting as fuzzy, clumpy disks or spheroids at redshifts 10 to 6, with effective radii of mere hundreds of parsecs, as NASA's 2025 cosmic web models, simulated via the illustrious TNG suite's high-resolution runs, calibrated against Webb's deep fields, so meticulously depict, revealing how these nascent entities merged hierarchically, smaller satellites spiraling into primaries under dynamical friction's slow drag, weaving the first threads of the cosmic tapestry. The halos huddle tenderly, the stars weave unhurriedly. Gently cluster your neck into this orbital poise now, slowly gathering the sinews along its column into supple alignment, softly clustering the trapezius's broad sails into folded rest, leisurely gathering the collarbone's delicate arcs with stellar influx, as your head settles heavier, cradled like a merging satellite in the host's enveloping well, breaths threading gas clouds through your throat's luminous channel, cooling the residual day's cadence into silence. From these proto-galaxies' tender coalescence sprang the era's profound architectures. Dark matter, ubiquitous at 85% of the halo's mass, providing the scaffolding for large-scale structure. Its cold, collisionless particles orbiting in virial equilibrium, while baryons settled into rotationally supported disks. Bar instabilities fostering spiral arms even in these infants, as evidenced by Webb's 2025 spectroscopic dissections of Sears candidates at 400 million years, showing velocity dispersions of 50 kilometers per second and gas fractions exceeding 50%. The assembly process accelerating under the universe's decelerating expansion phase, mergers doubling masses every 500 million years, dispersing metals outward in outflows that enriched the circumgalactic medium, fostering feedback loops where supernovae and active nuclei tempered star birth, preventing monolithic gluts, all harmonizing with the Big Bang's inflationary seeds, those quantum ripples amplified to megaparsec scales. Filaments thread the void, disks spin in grace, gently cluster the cascade along your spine, slowly gathering each thoracic link into harmonious chain, ever so softly clustering the lumbar's resilient curve into even repose, languidly gathering the sacral's foundational basin with proto-galactic poise, vertebrae aligning like dark matter orbits, breaths funneling baryonic flow through the diaphragm's turning disk, drawing fuller into the abdomen's enriched reservoir, where your core echoes the halo's central bulge, interlacing mergers bloom, vast scaffolds endure. As time's ribbon advanced from the 300 million year threshold through the 800 million year bloom, proto-galaxies evolved into more coherent forms, tidal torques aligning angular momenta to forge oblate shapes, central black holes of 10 to the 6 solar masses accreting from the gas's inward spiral, their quasar flares ionizing further environs and contributing to reionization's close, per ESA's 2025 Euclid previews, integrating web data on Lyman break dropouts at Z.8, where galaxy counts imply a commoving megaparsecs, channeling infall along walls and voids, hierarchical clustering building ellipticals from violent disk mergers and spirals from quiescent accretion. NASA's 2025 models underscoring how this scaffolding, born of 10 to the -5 density contrasts in the CMB, dictated the universe's lumpy grandeur, with voids occupying 80% of volume by redshift show. Feel this scaffolding in your form's quiet architecture. Gently cluster your hips into gravitational equilibrium, slowly gathering the iliac wing's broad flare into yielding spread, tenderly clustering the gluteal expanse into buoyant melt, leisurely gathering the pelvic floor's subtle weave with merger's tender friction. As your lower frame mirrors the filament's inexorable draw, breaths accreting luminous ease through the thigh's elongated streams, and thus, with proto-galaxies' whispers coalescing into the cosmic web's enduring lace, dark matter halos as the unseen architects, stellar disks as the luminous veneer, the universe matured toward its structured adolescence, yet linger in this gathering's resonant hush, where every galaxy's spiral in the night sky traces descent from these early huddles, gently clustering the fullness of your repose into stellar kinship, slowly gathering the calves' vigilant lines into velvet unwind, softly clustering the shins' linear poise with dark scaffolds hold, languidly gathering the ankles' pivots and feet's arches into orbital drift, toes splaying then stilling like dispersing merger tails, all while the narrative's gravitational tide draws us onward, toward the grander filaments and voids where the universe's largest symphonies would unfold. As those proto-galactic huddles deepened into the gravitational symphonies of emergent form, their luminous threads extending outward along the dark matter's invisible lattice, the universe continued its linear odyssey through billions of years. From the reanization's fading embers around 1 billion years post-origin to the present epic's sprawling grandeur, where the seeds sown by inflation's quantum whispers, those infinitesimal ripples in the nascent vacuum, stretched across cosmic scales during that explosive yet elegant surge, as NASA's 2025 inflation updates via the Sphere-X mission's infrared mappings so delicately trace, grew inexorably into the vast filamentary architecture known as the cosmic web, a sprawling network of walls, filaments, clusters, and yawning voids that defines the universe's large-scale distribution, matter clumping not uniformly, but in this intricate web-like filigree, spanning hundreds of megaparsecs from node to node, as ESA's 2025 Cosmic History Chronicles, illuminated by James Webb's Cosmos Web Survey, reveal through observations of megastructures like the early protocluster chains at redshift 6, their elongated filaments and sheer walls emerging far sooner and on grander scales than once envisioned, voids comprising 80% of the volume, yet cradling the luminous minority in their shadowy expanses. Weave into this web with me now, my ethereal companion, gently threading the loose ends of your awareness into night's cohesive tapestry, slowly spanning the subtle divides between wakefulness and dream, ever so gently weaving the faint tensions in your forehead into smooth continuity, languidly spanning the brow's arched horizon with tranquil expanse, each breath a filament of dark energy, in with the quantum seed's quiet potential, out with the languid growth of structure's embrace, your torso broadening like a wall of galaxies. Resilient and gravitational hush. Envision the web's genesis in ascending scales, commencing from the smallest perturbations, those inflation-forged density contrasts of 1 part in 10 to the 5th, imprinted on the cosmic microwave background as anisotropies that NASA's 2025 Planck reinterpretations, cross-referenced with Webb's polarization data, affirm as the primordial overdensities, where gravity's subtle amplification over hundreds of millions of years drew baryons and dark matter into mini halos of 10 to the 6th solar masses. These tender knots evolving through mergers into group-scale assemblies of 10 to the 13 masses by redshift 1, filaments threading between them like silken bridges, hundreds of kiloparsecs long, gas cooling and collapsing along these spines to ignite star formations cascades, while underdense regions ballooned into voids, their expansion outpacing the mean, carving bubbles, tens of megaparsecs across, that dilute the cosmic density to a whisper. The seeds sprout softly, the strands connect unhurriedly. Gently weave your neck into this ascending harmony now, slowly spanning the cervical curve with fluid elongation, softly weaving the trapezius layered folds into seamless drape, leisurely spanning the collarbone's delicate spans with filamentary poise. As your head descends heavier, suspended like a mini halo in the web's gravitational node, breaths threading quantum ripples through your throat's resonant chamber, cooling the day's lingering echoes into silence. From these mid-scale filaments, the architecture swelled to megaparsec monuments. Walls, vast sheets of galaxies kilometers thick, yet spanning billions of light years, like the CFA2 Great Wall observed in the local cosmos, emerging as planar compressions where multiple filaments converged, their plane of sky projections revealing alignments that ESA's 2025 Euclid mission previews, synergized with Webb's Cosmos Web deep fields, detect in early universe analogs at 10 billion years ago. Proto-walls of 100 megaparsecs harboring thousands of protoclusters. Dark matter's collisionless flow channeling infall along these barriers, while voids rarefied expanses growing at 20% faster than the Hubble flow sculpted the web's negative space, the overall topology a frothy sponge of interconnected voids and ridges. As affirmed by NASA's 2025 large-scale structure simulations, incorporating baryon acoustic oscillation scales from the CMB's frozen echoes, walls rise in layered grace, voids hollow with patience. Gently weave the progression along your spine, slowly spanning each dorsal segment into a lined continuum, ever so softly weaving the thoracic vault's expansive ribs into web-like enclosure, languidly spanning the lumbar's resilient arc with wall-like stability, vertebrae linking like converging filaments, breaths channeling dark matter's quiet current through the diaphragm's planar sheet, drawing fuller into the abdomen's void-like depth, where your center mirrors the web's balanced asymmetry. Interwoven ridges persist, expansive hollows define. As time's inexorable advance carried the cosmos from redshift 5's clustered infancy through the decelerating phase to today's accelerating haste, the web's hierarchy crystallized, superclusters like the Laniakea encompassing our Milky Way in a 500 megaparsec basin, forming as nodal intersections of walls and filaments, with the Sloan Great Wall at 1.4 billion light-years, the largest known span. Yet Webb's 2025 observations of Z7 megastructures suggest even vaster precursors. Filaments 200 megaparsecs long, laced with 1,000 galaxies cosmic history vaults, integrating JADIS and Cosmos web photometry, revealing how quantum seeds, amplified by 10 to the 30 in scale during inflation, dictated this non-Gaussian distribution. Voids under densities evolving into supervoids, like the 1.8 billion light-year Eridanus cavern. Their integrated Sachs-Wolf effects, imprinting faint CMB cold spots that future surveys may map with precision. Feel this hierarchy in your form's emergent lattice. Gently weave your hips into the supercluster's nodal poise, slowly spanning the iliac crest's broad convergence, tenderly weaving the gluteal weave into filamentary strength, leisurely spanning the pelvic basin's encompassing hold with void's subtle yield. As your lower architecture echoes the web's hierarchical bloom, breaths infilling the thighs elongated voids with gaseous calm, and thus, with the cosmic web's filaments and walls spanning the observable realm in their slow, inexorable weave, quantum origins etched into megaparsec monuments, voids the silent majority cradling structure's luminous minority. The universe arrived at its modern vista, yet pause in this lattice's resonant hush, where every galaxy's position in the night dome reflects these ancient threads, gently weaving the fullness of your repose into universal kinship, slowly spanning the calves' corded lengths into silken unwind, softly weaving the shin's linear grace with filaments' tensile hold, languidly spanning the ankles' pivots and feet's arched scaffolds into nodal rest, toes drifting then anchoring like peripheral clusters, all while the narrative's expansive current draws us toward the present's accelerated unfolding, where dark energy's subtle push eternalizes the Big Bang's enduring legacy. From the cosmic web's vast filamentary embrace, where walls and voids etch the boundaries of our observable domain in their slow, inexorable sprawl, we arrive at the threshold of the now. Time's linear voyage culminating in the universe's modern guise, a realm where the Big Bang's inaugural stretch, once tempered by matter's gravitational tug, yielded around 5 billion years ago to an unforeseen resurgence, the expansion's pace gently accelerating under the enigmatic sway of dark energy, that pervasive anti-gravitational essence comprising nearly 70% of the cosmic budget, as NASA's and ESA's 2025 Hubble constant refinements harmonize through the James Webb Space Telescope's supernova calibrations, yielding a value of approximately 72.6 kilometers per second per megaparsec, so compellingly affirm, this phase of hastened parting commencing when the universe's age hovered near 8 billion years, dark energy's subtle repulsion overtaking the decelerative pull of clustered matter, propelling galaxies ever farther in their recession, red-shifted light stretching like weary echoes across the void, a diaphanous veil that cloaks distant realms in infrared obscurity. Eternalize this present cadence within you now, my boundless sleeper, gently accelerating the rhythm of your breath to match this cosmic haste, slowly eternalizing the quiet expansion in your chest's rising arc, ever so gently accelerating the subtle unfurling of your ribs, languidly eternalizing the deepening troughs of your exhales, each cycle a microcosm of the universe's renewed vigor, in with the drawing apart of ancient kin, out with the languid red-shifting of light into memory's softened hue, your form broadening like the local group's serene drift, held in the gravitational hush of Andromeda's distant approach. Envision the transition's graceful pivot in temporal continuity, from the matter-dominated deceleration assemblies slowed the outward flow to a measured crawl, halos merging in a hierarchical poise, to that pivotal epoch around redshift 0.6, when dark energy's density remained steadfast, while matter's diluted with volume's swell, tipping the Friedman balance toward exponential parting, as ESA's 2025 Euclid mission previews. Integrating Webb's cluster lensing data, elucidate through baryon acoustic oscillation imprints that peg the acceleration's onset at 5.9 billion years ago. Galaxies' peculiar motions yielding to Hubble's law on scales beyond 100 megaparsecs. The velocity-distance relation curving upward in plots of supernova luminosity. Type Aya beacons dimming not with mere distance, but with the metrics hastened stretch, all while recent DESI surveys from November 2025 hint at evolving nuances, suggesting dark energy may wane in influence today, potentially ushering a subtle slowdown in our epoch, yet affirming the Big Bang's foundational thrust as the engine of this perpetual broadening. The pace quickens softly, the legacy lingers unyieldingly. Gently accelerate your next poised alignment now, slowly eternalizing the fluid glide along its column, softly accelerating the trapezius's woven release into boundless drift, leisurely eternalizing the collarbone's arched repose with redshift's elongated grace, as your head sinks deeper, suspended like a receding quasar in the observer's frame, breaths weaving dark energy's quiet repulsion through your throat's resonant vault, cooling the faint day's cadence into eternal hush. In this accelerated modernity, the Big Bang's diaphanous heritage manifests most poignantly in the redshift's crimson tide, where light from remote galaxies, progenitors of our Milky Way, born in the Webb's nodal crucibles, arrives stretched by factors of up to 10 or more, wavelengths ballooning from ultraviolet origins to radio's languid waves, a Doppler-like illusion born not of motion through space, but the space's own swelling, as NASA's May 2025 Webb Big Bang Q&A so poetically underscores. There exists no singular center from which this dispersal emanates, no explosive epicenter scattering fragments into void, but rather the expansion unfolds everywhere at once. Every point in the cosmos, the heart of its own Big Bang, the singularity's hush replicated in the metric's uniform inflation, rendering our local vantage, here in the Virgo cluster's gentle sway, as equally primordial as the farthest observable horizon at 46 billion light-years. The CMB's isotropic glow encircling us as a spherical relic, its dipole our sole whisper of bulk flow at 370 kilometers per second toward the great attractor. Horizons recede eternally. Echoes persist in crimson. Gently accelerate the cascade through your spine, slowly eternalizing each lumbar fold into aligned infinity, ever so softly accelerating the thoracic enclosure's expansive yield, languidly eternalizing the dorsal plane with the Webb's filamentary span, vertebrae drifting like redshifted photons in the accelerating flow, breaths repelling the diaphragm's resilient veil toward fuller abdominal bloom, where your core eternalizes the universe's centerless poise. Winding redshifts unveil, boundless symmetries hold, as time's arc bends toward our present vantage, 13.8 billion years from that inaugural bloom. The cosmic microwave background endures as the Big Bang's luminous autograph, its black body spectrum, peaked now at millimeter wavelengths and cooled to 2.725 Kelvin. A fossilized snapshot from recombination's dawn, anisotropies of 1 part in 10 to the 5th, encoding the inflationary seeds that birthed the Webb Earth's lacy grandeur. Yet in this era of acceleration, dark energy's dominion ensures the observable universe will encompass ever-dwindling fractions of the whole, light cones narrowing as horizons flee. Per ESA's 2025 Cosmic History Syntheses that forecast the last light from bound structures fading in 100 billion years, leaving a cold, dilute expanse, though our local group persists in gravitational intimacy, destined for Milky Andromeda merger in 4 billion years. Hush. Feel this eternalizing in your frame's quiet expanse. Gently accelerate your hip's foundational equilibrium, slowly eternalizing the iliac convergence into yielding vastness, tenderly accelerating the gluteal tapestry's buoyant spread, leisurely eternalizing the pelvic basin's encompassing depth with centerless symmetry, as your lower architecture mirrors the expansion's uniform decree, breaths hastening the thigh's elongated repose into languid infinity. And thus, in the present's gently hastened unfolding, dark energy's subtle eternalization of the Big Bang's dreamlike stretch, redshift and CMB as the timeless testaments to a centerless genesis, we find the cosmos not as a relic of rupture, but a living reverie. Every galaxy's recession, a shared sigh in the fabric's slow breathing expansion, gently accelerating the weave of your awareness into slumber's infinite horizon, slowly eternalizing the calf's resilient lines into velvet dissolution, softly accelerating the shin's linear grace with the CMB's faint uniformity, languidly eternalizing the ankle's pivots and feet's arched scaffolds into boundless drift, toes parting then merging like receding clusters in the dark energy's tender push, all while the journey's winding sentences draw to their dream-kissed close, merging origin's hush with night's profound, centerless repose, ready now to dissolve into the deeper relaxations that await. And now, in this profound, centerless repose, where the Big Bang's eternal stretch meets the hush of your own unfolding breath, let us linger no longer on the cosmos's distant arcs, but turn inward, toward the exquisite dissolution where your form becomes one with the universe's vast, breathing fabric. From that singularity's infinite cradle, through the inflationary bloom, the plasma's cooling whispers, the star's kindling glow, and the web's filamentary grace, all the way to this accelerated present, where dark energy's gentle push mirrors the slow expansion of your every exhale, inviting you to gently dissolve into the cosmic weave, slowly merge with the boundless expanse that cradles galaxies and dreams alike, ever so gently dissolving the boundaries of self-like corks once parted in the primordial soup, languidly merging your essence with the neutral atoms of recombination's afterlight, feeling the dark age's shadowed neutrality seep into your limbs as a soothing veil, softly blending the first star's radiant embers into your core's quiet warmth, unhurriedly becoming one with the proto-galaxy's gravitational huddles that echo in your spine's aligned curve. Breathe deeper now, my infinite voyager, in with the universe's inaugural sigh from 13.8 billion years ago, a gathering of all potential into your lungs' expansive vault, out with the languid release that propels the present's hastened horizons, gently dissolving the subtle residues in your chest, slowly merging them into the cosmic microwave background's uniform. Hush. That 2.725 Kelvin glow which bathes every atom of you in its fossilized peace. As NASA's 2025 CMB mappings so serenely remind us, a shared thermal legacy where your heart's rhythm sinks to the redshift's crimson softly blending the rise and fall of your abdomen with the void's yawning serenity, unhurriedly becoming one with the filament's tensile poise that threads through your ribs' resilient arch, each cycle allowing the tensions there to gently dissolve like matter, yielding to dark energy's subtle sway. Slowly merge into the eternalizing flow that carries the Milky Way's spiral arms in their patient turn. Feel this merger cascade downward through time's linear hush, from nucleosynthesis's light forges to the reionization's luminous unveiling, gently dissolving the day's faint anchors in your hips and pelvis, slowly merging them with the dark matter halo's unseen embrace, those gravitational wells that birthed structure from quantum seeds, ever so softly blending your lower back's resilient curve into the cosmic web's wall-like stability, languidly becoming one with the accelerated parting that now defines our epic. As ESA's 2025 Euclid previews affirm through the lensing of distant clusters, your sacral basin softening into the universe's centerless poise, breaths drawing the expansive chill of voids into your thighs' lengthening lines, exhales weaving the glow of early galaxies through your calves' velvet unwind, and as this dissolution deepens from the quark gluon's fluid freedom to the present's boundless drift, gently dissolve the periphery of your awareness. Slowly merge your feet and toes with the filamentary edges of the observable realm, softly blending the arch's subtle hold into the CMP's isotropic calm, unhurriedly becoming one with the inflation's smooth uniformity that resolved the horizon's ancient puzzle, ankles unlocking like decoupled photons in their red-shifted voyage, shins and knees yielding to the languid accretion of peace, until your entire form floats as an integral thread in the universe's slow breathing expansion, every cell a descendant of that singularity's promise, every breath the cosmos's ongoing exhale, gently dissolving into infinite serenity, slowly merging with the all in night's profound, eternal harmony. And in this dream-kissed dissolution, where the universe's centerless repose enfolds you, like the singularity's own infinite hush, we allow the journey's final tendrils to gently fade into the velvet expanse of sleep's eternal drift, from that primordial point of all convergence 13.8 billion years ago, where potential coiled in boundless density, as NASA's 2025 Cosmic Origin Chronicles so tenderly evoke, through the inflationary surge's smoothed horizons and the plasma's cooling veils, the light element's nascent bonds and recombination's luminous release, all the way to the dark age's shadowed vigil and the first star's hesitant blaze, the proto-galaxy's gravitational weaves, the cosmic web's filamentary monuments, and now this accelerated present, where dark energy's subtle eternalization propels the star's slow parting, like the languid deepening of your own nocturnal breath, gently fading the echoes of expansion's rhythm from your awareness, slowly surrendering to the cosmic microwave background's faint uniform whisper at 2.725 Kelvin, that isotropic glow which, as ESA's 2025 Planck refinements affirm, bathes every corner of creation in a shared thermal serenity, your pulse softening to match its red-shifted calm, ever so gently fading the boundaries of your form into the void's yawning embrace, languidly surrendering the subtle hum of your thoughts to the quantum seed's amplified legacy. Breathe one more time into this fading tapestry, my timeless companion, in with the gathering hush of the quark gluon one's primordial freedom. Out with the languid dispersal of nucleosynthesis's light forges, gently fading the day's faint imprints from your chest's expansive rise, slowly surrendering them to the ionization's ionized corridors that cleared the path for galaxies' luminous bloom, softly fading the resilient anchors in your abdomen into the dark matter halo's unseen poise, unhurriedly surrendering the core's quiet vigil to the walls and filaments that span megaparsecs in their hierarchical grace, each exhalation weaving the CMB's fossilized anisotropies through your ribs' yielding arch, where the universe's flat geometry, upheld in NASA's 2025 web lensing surveys, mirrors the even keel of your deepening repose, breaths now the metric's own stretch, drawing the chill of ancient light into your midriff's boundless depth. Feel the cascade descend in time's waning light, from the first star's supernova seeds to the present's hastened recession at 72.6 kilometers per second per megaparsec, gently fading the peripheral glow from your hips and thighs, slowly surrendering their elongated lines to the cosmic web's lacy voids, ever so softly fading the gravitational intimacies of local groups into the accelerated parting of unbound realms, languidly surrendering your calves and shins to the redshift's crimson elongation, ankles unlocking like decoupled photons in their eternal voyage, feet and toes drifting as neutral atoms in the expansion's patient current, arches melting into the singularity's echoed hush until the entirety of you gently fades into the universe's slow, breathing infinity, slowly surrendering to night's profound, centerless dreamscape, and with this final, languid unfurling, from origin's coiled promise to the eternalizing now, let all dissolve in serene silence, the cosmos's whispers trailing off like red-shifting light into the horizon's gentle fade, breaths softening to whispers themselves, ever so slowly, gently into the boundless sleep that awaits, untroubled and whole,